Hi, kids. This is Dollar Tree Theater. And this time I'm going back to the early 70s for a MGM movie, one of the MGM titles that seem to be popping up at Dollar Tree. And this is a very early Martin Scorsese picture. Yeah. Dollar Tree Theater episode 13. Not bad luck, by the way. But this is Scorsese's second feature. Just before he made Mean Streets, which I still haven't watched, even though I own the movie, and I've owned it for a few years now. But I ended up jumping on this. I absolutely love the 70s. I love the, especially the early 70s. I like the, I'm not going to say the word right, but the way things are filmed, especially this is a low budget film. This comes from American International. MGM did pick it up. Let's see, James H. Nicholson and Samuel Z. Arkoff. Even when I was a kid, I knew who Samuel Arkoff was. And this is produced by I'm jumping ahead. Roger Corman production. And often, as usual, with Corman production, there is a bit of exploitation. Probably pretty relatively graphic nudity by both Hershey and David Carradine, who's also in this movie. The movie is Boxcar Bertha. And apparently, what I've been reading is this is a fictionalized autobiography from Bertha. And it takes place in the 30s. Bertha, her father dies in a plane crash. He was a crop duster. And she's left on her own. She wanders around a little bit. It comes across Big Bill Shelley, who works on the railroad. That's played by David Carradine. He's not quite a union organizer, but he's starting to get involved with the union and trying to organize. And of course, big business views workers' rights as a crime. So he ends up being thrown in jail. And he has a friend played by Bernie Casey Von Morton. He's also with the railroad. Well, basically, David is, Big Bill is a bit of a, I don't know. He pretty much takes advantage of Bertha, though she is enjoying it. But he forces himself on her. But of course, the old-fashioned manly man forcing a woman, and of course the woman likes it. I'm sure that happens every once in a while, but well, he pretty much has sex with her. They both fall asleep. He wakes up, leaves, and she's on her own again, and she comes across this guy named Rake Brown, played by Barry Primus. Now, I don't know this actor, but I bet I've seen him in several movies. He's even worked with Scorsese as more recently with The Irishman. So they have a long relationship, obviously. Well, Rake is kind of like a con man. He's a gambler and such, and they have a bit of a partnership. But they eventually, I mean, it's not platonic friendship. They eventually do run again into Bill and Von Morton, and well, what happens is they pretty much accidentally sort of fall into being criminals, robbers. None of them are very good at it, and especially, I mean, Bill doesn't want to view himself as a criminal. He wants to view himself as a union man. But there's a bit of Robin Hood quality to it, because some of the money actually does go to the union. But yeah, those four, Bertha, Bill, Rake, and Von, became a little bit of a little gang, if you will, and but the police aren't as much of a threat to them as the railroad. John Carradine is also in it as H. Buckram Sartorius, I think it's pronounced. He's the owner of the railroad, and he has these two thugs coming after mostly John or Big Bill. They I don't know who they're really supposed to be, but they kind of remind me of the Pinkertons. Pinkertons was a security firm. They worked for the railroad, or they were employed by the railroad, and a lot of them were murderous thugs. But they have their adventures and such, and the third act sort of kind of wobbles a bit. I would, because it's really winding down, and I don't know if the script was exactly tight for the third act, but it doesn't ruin the movie. Now, as for Scorsese, his usual things, his kinetic style of filmmaking, which pops up from time to time. He likes being a bit stylized. Now, he doesn't really exercise that too much in this movie. It's only his second feature. He's still really trying to learn the craft, and it pops up every once in a while. His realistic violence, not quite here. If there's blood, it looks like paint. You know, it's just that time of filmmaking. Not to say that there probably was more realistic, but in this particular situation, it was. There's a big, massive bit of violence at the end, very, very, very Scorsese, and there are stylized shots with the editing, but that is probably the most Scorsese. It wasn't quite perfect. One of the best, when it comes to Scorsese, he likes to, experiment and such. There is this shot from a train. This is pretty much the ending of the movie. I'm not going to spoil it, but Barbara Hershey is running alongside the train, and there's a shot going down toward her, and it's her, and she's running along the train, and it's not flat ground. There's boards and such like that, and a very dynamic shot with the action that's going on. That was extremely impressive. Do I like the movie? Yes. I'm just kind of a sucker for the early 70s, on into some of the late 70s too, but things were kind of changing for filmmaking at that time. But yeah, the way there's a certain style of editing I really enjoy from that period, and it is on evidence in this movie. It reminds me, well, I think it was made because there was a wave of bank robber movies. I don't know if you would call them gangster movies, but after Bonnie and Clyde was such a huge hit, there's a bunch of other movies like that had come out, and this looks like one of the movies from that wave. It's not as good as Bonnie and Clyde, but it's a very entertaining movie, and I'm glad I picked it up. I need to watch more movies I haven't seen from the early 70s, and I'm very happy that I ended up picking this up. Well, until next time, as usual, stay safe. Always have a good time. Okay, bye.